Hello, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange. Today I want to share my top 5 favorite stabby authors. And I'm using that term loosely to describe authors that write horror, suspense, thrillers, and mysteries. If you've been following my channel for a while, you probably could guess some of the names that are going to be on this list, but I just thought it was a lot of fun. As you might expect, not every book that these authors have written is necessarily one of my all-time favorites, and certainly I have lots of favorite books that are written by other authors, but these are authors that have consistently written books that I absolutely love. I love their writing and I just find them to be consistently good. All of these books will be like 4 or 5 stars. All that being said, let's get started. So I'm not going to actually rank my top 5, but if someone really pushes me and asks what is your one favorite author, I typically say Gillian Flynn just because she is one of my longest running favorite authors. I have read all of her books and absolutely love them. If you're looking for a place to start, I typically recommend people start with Gone Girl if they haven't been spoiled by the movie or just know the plot twist, because I feel it's the most commercially accessible. But my personal favorite is, of course, Dark Places, which I really need to reread soon. What I like so much about her is her writing and characters. The fact that she truly is not afraid to write very dark people, and that's something that you don't always see in female writers, is there tends to be a softness to their writing, more of an emotional bent, and she just goes there. She just gets in my head and I love everything that she does. So highly recommend her. If you have not read all of her books, you are definitely missing out. Next, I have to mention Ian Reid, and this book, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, is one of my personal favorites by him, and it's also where I recommend that people start. He's one of those authors where it's best going into his work without knowing too much of the plot, because it's all about building the suspense and just figuring out what is going on. I've heard people describe his work as horror, suspense, thrillers. It really crosses a lot of genres, but I adore his writing. He tends to write shorter books, which is my preference, and I've loved everything I've read by him. On top of his more suspenseful books like this and Foe, he's also written some fantastic memoirs that are not stabby at all, but I just adore, so I will read everything that he ever puts out at this point. He is definitely an all-time favorite of mine. And next on this list, I have to talk about Alan Eskin, and he is a crime fiction author who has written about 5 books at this point, and I've read and loved all of them. My personal favorite is this one, which is The Life We Bury, and it's also my recommendation where to start because it is his first book, but it is very strong for a debut, and it's what made me fall in love with him as an author. What I love so much about his work is the fact that he shows incredible range. My one complaint with a lot of crime fiction writers is that they only write one series or one type of character, and you almost feel like you're reading the same story over and over again. But while he has written a bunch of books that are all set in the same area and are loosely tied together, he has written books that involve amateur detectives, legal cases, and thrillers, and just every book is so different than the last, and I just am always so impressed. He has a great background in law and legal work, and just really brings that into his writing. I just can't say enough good things about Alan Eskin. I feel he is one of the more underhyped or underappreciated authors on this list, and I'd really like to change this, so highly recommend to anyone who enjoys any kind of crime fiction. Next is another lady on this list, and that of course is Christie De Meester, who is one of my favorite horror authors. And I have currently read all of her main published work. I would personally recommend starting with Beneath, which is a full-length novel and also my favorite of her work, but she has also written a short story collection called Everything Underneath, and that's another good one to start if you enjoy short fiction because it's a great way to sample a lot of her work. She has a fantastic writing style. It's just dark and delicious. I say that every time, but I absolutely mean it. She is another female author that has a lot of bite, and that is what I love so much about her. is that she is the closest author I've found to Gillian Flynn's in terms of tone and grit, and I just love her work. So highly recommend. I would love to see more people pick up her books, and I just think you will love them because her writing is absolutely beautiful. And last but certainly not least is Joe Hill, and my personal favorite of his is Horns because it is so darkly funny. Joe Hill just gets my wicked sense of humor, and I just love his work. So this one is actually my favorite, but I feel like I would recommend that people should start with Nosferatu just because I find that it does tend to work for more people. This one is more of a consistent favorite among those that have read his work. So I'd say start here, but honestly, you can't go wrong with his work. In terms of horror, I describe his work as being very supernatural and having almost a dark fantasy bent. And on top of being a great novelist, he has also written several fantastic graphic novels. Most popular, of course, is the Lock and Key series, but he has also written a standalone called The Cape, which was so crazy dark, and I loved it. So if you're looking for a horror author that is just a little bit different, a great storyteller, and just comes up with these imaginative scenarios, I think Joe Hill is an excellent horror author to check out. So that's it. Those are 5 of my favorite Stabby authors. I'd love to know if we share any of the same favorites. As well, I would love to see more booktubers doing similar videos. So if you want to do a top 5 favorite crime fiction horror authors video, I would love to watch it. So do let me know if you film it and link it down below. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.